Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg. We are situated on the ancestral home of the Rappahannock and the Potawatomi tribes, and where enslaved people were forced to work on the land. We acknowledge that this land holds many histories, great stories, and the blood of the people. Good morning. Good morning. I am Jackie Arthur, she, her, and hers, and I will be your worship associate this morning. Here at the UUFF, we come together both in person and online communities. We strive to nurture learning, inspire spiritual insights, create compassionate relationships, and lovingly transform our community and the world. If you are joining us as a guest or a first-time visitor here in the building or online, we're glad you're here. Those in the building are invited to leave contact information at the welcome table in the foyer upon your entrance. For those joining us online, you're invited to visit the worship portal on our website at uuffxbg.org and fill out our connection card. Whether in person or online, this will allow our ministers and staff to get to know you within the next week. Everyone is invited to fill out a card about a personal, significant joy or concern that you would like shared with the service. For those in person, you may pick up the card and leave it at the Joys and Concerns table in the foyer. For those joining us online, you are once again invited to visit the worship portal at our website and fill out Joys and Concerns form. Our pastoral care team member collects the information in service cards, and they'll read it at the next service. No, I had that wrong, I'm sorry. Our pastoral care team member collects the in-person cards to read during the service, and for those online, your joys and concerns will be read at the next service. Please join us after the service for coffee and conversation. In that spirit of greeting, I invite all of us to greet one another. For those joining online, please share your greetings with the online chat. Stand up and greet. It's so good to have you with us today.
Good morning. My name is Roddy Bell Shelton Biggs. My pronouns are they and them, and I have the honor of serving as your intern minister. This morning, our opening words are titled A Parable of the Plants and come from Jen Reeves in translation. Rain falls everywhere, coming down on all sides, flowing everywhere without limit, reaching over the face of the earth into the hidden recesses of mountains, streams, and steep valleys, where plants and trees grow, and medical herbs, and big trees and small, 100 grains of rice seedling, sugar cane, and grapevines, all are moistened by the same rain, and enhanced abundantly. The ground is soaked, and both herbs and trees flourish by the same water that comes from that cloud. Plants and trees and thickets and forests, according to their need, receive moisture. All the trees, superior, middling, inferior, each according to its size, can grow and develop roots, stems, branches, and leaves, blossoms and fruits in bright, brilliant colors. Rain goes to all, and all become bright and shiny. Their bodies form the capacities, may be small or large. The moisture they receive, the same, embracing and enabling each to flourish. In that spirit, come, let us worship together this morning.
As we light this chalice with its freely shared light and freely shared warmth, let us be reminded of the many things that are freely shared with us and that we freely share with others. May we lean into generosity shared from the heart that can warm those around us.
Good morning. Would you take your teal hymnal and go to hymn number 1031, 1031, or we'll also have the words on the screen for you. This is an adaptation of a Buddhist meditation where we say, may I be filled with loving kindness. The second verse is, may you be filled with loving kindness. And then finally, may we be filled with loving kindness. I invite you to stand if you're able and join us as you're able and willing. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled. May you be filled
Patty and David. Good morning, everyone. One more time. Good morning. Yeah. And I see that there weren't too many people who came an hour early. So in this day and age of our phones and our clocks and everything being digital and taken care of for us, it looks like everybody's here. That's great. My name is Reverend Doug McCusker, and I serve as the minister here for you all at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg, and I use pronouns he, him. This is the first week of the month, and this month our theme will be generosity. And actually, we've already been talking, so we will continue in that conversation. Right now, I'd like to invite anyone who would like to come up for a story and see what's in our wonder box. Anyone who would like to come forward. Yeah, come on up. And we have rug right here, and I'm going to sit on the stool. So. All right, have a seat. The Briggs are in the house. Rocking. Okay. Thank you. Hi, Hannah. So you we actually have. Let me sit over here with you all. Yeah, I have a bum knee, so I'm not going to get on the floor right now. I could do that, but then getting up is the hard part. So have any of y'all heard of the Buddha? You've heard that name. You have you? Maybe not. But Hannah, you said yeah. How about you all? Okay. Yeah. The Buddha lived about 2,500 years ago, and one of those people that 500 years later we all know, or at least most of us have heard of the Buddha. The Buddha was a person who lived in India, had a name, Siddhartha Gautama, and was considered a holy person. Somebody who was really wise, had figured out a lot of things that people were pondering for a long time, and wrote down. Other people did that, but taught so many people about how to live and be a good person. And so for that, a whole religion started called Buddhism. You've heard of that? Buddhism. Well, the Buddha. Like monks at the time, and still in Asia, would go around from town to town and with their disciples, friends, and they would beg for food. Still do that in Asia. And then they would go to places and stay in the woods for a little while. So first, before I tell a story about that goes back all the way to when the Buddha was alive, who would like to look inside our wonder box? Well, then it's your turn. All right. It's a shirt, a black piece of clothing, and this? A bowl. Okay. A big bowl. Yeah. So I think our story is going to say something about these things. What's that? Oh, you like mac and cheese in your bowl? Okay. Well, look in the boxes. No, I don't think there's any in there. All right, but let me tell you this story about Anatha Pindinka, and called The Patron and the Poor Girl. Long time ago, when the Buddha was alive, 2,500, 600 years ago, Anatha Pindinka, who was a rich merchant, someone who had a lot of money, but he was also very religious, so he sought out to go see the Buddha, who was in this town, in the woods with his other monks, and he sat down to listen to the Buddha, and he was so so enthralled, so captivated and moved by what the Buddha was teaching. He stayed for quite a while. And after the end, when he was getting ready to go back home, Anathapindika brought a gift to the Buddha. And he invited him to come see him in his town, which was a little farther away. So he went home, Anathapindika went home, and he went and he said, well, if the Buddha's going to come here, I need to have a nice place for the Buddha to be. So the master, they called it, for the master to be. So my garden's not big enough. So he went and saw the big park in the middle of the village, but it was owned by the prince. So he went to the prince and he said, can I buy your park? And the prince said, sure, if you line the ground with gold coins. You imagine a park with gold coins? That's pretty expensive. So Anathapindika said, well, regular, no, these are gold coins, maybe like quarters. Let's say quarter. Okay? So that would be a lot of quarters, wouldn't it? Probably more than $250, but you know. So what happened was he went and got caravans full of gold, and they lined it up, and the prince said, okay, I'll sell it to you. And then Anathapindika asked his servant to go and see the Buddha and invite him. So the Buddha and his disciples came, and they cleaned up the gold, and they put that away. And then the Buddha came, and he was so impressed because it would have been a nice place for his followers to be when it's rainy, so that they couldn't go out and beg for food and alms. So they would have a place to stay. So they stayed there for a little while, and Anathapindika, you know, he got famous for doing this for the master, and he felt a little bad about that. He says, you know, I'm getting famous for giving something to the Buddha, to the master. I would like other people to have this opportunity to give. And so he went to the king and said, can I have everybody come one day and give things to the master and his followers? And the king said, sure. So they made a decree, and they said, on the seventh day, we're going to come through, and if you have something that you would like to give to the master and his followers, please bring it. So on that day, he was riding an elephant, Anathapindika was riding an elephant, going through the villages, and this poor girl who was a beggar, and she had really, she was very poor, and she didn't know what was going on. She asked somebody, what is going on? And they said, haven't you heard? This is an opportunity for everybody to give something to the master. So she said, well, I don't have anything. And then she thought, the only thing I have is this dress, this clothing that it took me 3 or 4 weeks, a month, to save up and then make myself. I'll give that to the master. But I don't want to be walking around naked. So she ran home, and when the caravan came through, she took off her clothes and she threw it through the window. And Anathapindika's servants caught it and gave it to him. He said, wow, somebody gave me their clothes. Go find out who it was. And when he went and found out, he realized that it was this poor girl who gave the only thing she owned, her clothes. So he had some nice clothes brought to her. But as it turned out, she only lived a short time after that. But because of that, of giving whatever she could, her karma was enriched. And when she died, her next life, she was a goddess. And as a goddess, she remembered the whole thing about seeing the master. And she never got a chance to see the master. So she came back down to earth and became one of the master's disciples, even as a goddess. And that's the story of the patron and the poor girl. All right.
Got the light of love within
Goodbye, y'all.
Go on your way in peace. So let your light shine, the world awaits you. Go on your way in peace. You've got the light of love within you. Go on your way in peace. So let your light shine, the world awaits you. Go on your way in peace. Take a deep breath, beloveds. Take another deep breath and settle into the space that you find yourself, whether that is here in person or online. And hear the words of meditation as you may choose to close your eyes or focus a soft gaze somewhere else. Our meditation this morning comes from the Reverend Alex Johnson. Spirit of life, I find you in those humble places, the quiet, still spaces where I am held in love greater than myself. You are the wind beneath, the fire in my soul, the heartbeat of creation all around me. The God of love unopposing, yet firm and steadfast, the present to all in your grace. The spirit of life and love, you find me in gentle words, to speak life into me and to hold me when all else around me feels broken. You challenge me, you move and listen deeply when I fail. You always do and see the fuller picture. You remind me that I am loved, that I am just as I am, that love and salvation are found in the living of a life well loved. Help me remember who I am, a holy mystery. Help me remember to see the good small things in every day, in the moments that you are found. Grant the wisdom to listen, to seek those unlikely, unexpected places, to enter into a moment of quiet, silent meditation or prayer, lifting up and naming all that needs to be named in your spirit as you remember who you are, why you are here.
The Lotus and Buddhism's call to open to generosity. There's an image which you often encounter in Buddhism, the image of a lotus. It is said that the Buddha's enlightenment experience, he had a vision of the world as being like a lotus lake, with lotuses in all stages of growth. Some still beneath the water, some just little buds appearing above the water. Some half open and some completely out of the water and fully open. In other words, he saw that all living beings are at different stages of development, just like the lotuses. Many of us are like little lotus buds, peeping our heads out of the water, but still closed up within ourselves, concerned with ourselves, protective of ourselves, looking into ourselves. This is a necessary stage of growth, but we need to move more and more toward being an open flowers, looking outward, regarding others as well as ourselves. This stage of the partially open lotus flower is akin to the point where we experience feelings of wanting to give. The feelings of wanting to give, which indicate that we are beginning to tread the spiritual path.
It's right in the sun. Where do you want to go? Back. That's better. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I would like to lead and start with a question. What have you given away freely in the last 24 hours? Think about it. What have you given away freely? Just something. Or it doesn't have to be a thing. It could be the way you are with someone else. It could be a good deed. Anything that you've given in the last 24 hours. I have the microphone in my hand, but I will come around, and if anyone would like to share that, at least one thing, just one thing that you've given in the last 24 hours, I'll share the mic with you, and you can share it with all of us. The reason I'm asking this is because generosity is so fundamental to who we are that you've probably given away some things just in the last 24 hours, maybe just in the last hour, that you didn't even realize that you were being generous. So think about it. Yes.
We have new neighbors in our neighborhood, and I was at a cake mix for pumpkin cake mix, but I decided to put puree in it because pumpkin puree makes it taste a lot better. And so I took some over to my neighbor and welcomed them to the neighborhood yesterday.
Nice. I gave up my morning yesterday with a half-baked sermon. It was only, it was not half-baked, but it was half finished. Yeah, you might think it's half-baked, but half-finished sermon. And I marched for the restoration of rights for people who have been incarcerated for a felony and come back and they can't vote. So that's what I did. Anybody else? Oh, behind me. Okay.
So my middle daughter in Austin is going through a divorce. And so this morning I had a heavy heart for her, so I sent her a note just to let her know that I loved her no matter what and that I was going to support her no matter what. And so, yeah.
Good on you. Oh, there's hands flying up. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go this way.
Randy and I, he didn't know he gave it up until I told him. We were picking up the signs after church because Bill Brooks can't be here.
Yeah, that was just in the last 15, 20 minutes. Okay.
I worked yesterday at early voting.
Ooh, very good. That's good. That's giving up your time, right?
Yeah, I have a friend who gets around with a cane, but it's like literally like 2 feet long. And I keep watching him struggle with this thing. And so I had a walking staff that I brought from home and gave it to him last night. And he's very happy with it.
Awesome.
I live with my brother-in-law. He's a child, but he's an adult. Anyway, I gave him dinner last night because he wasn't going to eat dinner.
Ooh, very nice.
Donation for Jazz for Justice concert last night.
Awesome.
I just wanted to thank everybody for the beautiful get well card I got, about a month ago. I was very sick, and that was very touching from everybody that signed it. Thank you. And I read about the Buddha and how the Chinese won't allow him to come to India and die in peace.
Nice. So Manju was just talking about the other side of giving, which is receiving.
I gave time. I gave a few hours yesterday on the telephone calling people to remind them to turn in their absentee ballots.
Oh, yeah. That time of year. Okay, last one.
I did a meal train for a mom friend. I posted it in the group too for you guys, but her family's dealing with a lot, so anything is awesome to help this family.
Thank you. Very important.
Yesterday, while Reverend Doug and some were in Richmond, I joined 100,000 people in D.C. to demand ceasefire for Palestine.
All right. Everybody, thank you for all those acts of generosity. Well, as I suspected, we are a very generous bunch of people. As we heard, giving can come in many forms. We can give away money, material objects, food, our time, our attention, hugs, stories, smiles, wisdom, laughs. It's probably the easiest thing that we can do. 2 weeks ago, I talked about participating in the life of the fellowship as an important way that we can give of ourselves for this fellowship, for a common cause. And then every year in February and March, we have a pledge drive, and I always give a sermon about contributing our financial resources to the fellowship. Today, I'm not asking for anything. Instead, I simply want to lift up the spiritual side of giving. In probably all religions and spiritual traditions, generosity is central to a spiritual life. I will be focusing on Buddhism and Unitarian Universalism. We, in our culture, we teach our children at an early age to share. Even in our culture of greed and consumption, we still find myriad ways to give without expecting anything in return. Generosity is basic to the human condition, and it is embedded deeply in our emotional well-being. Siddhartha Gautama, the person known as the Buddha and also as the Bodhisattva Sakyamuni, taught that the three central practices of a liberated life are dana, sila, and bhavana, or translated, generosity, morality, and meditation. In the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, generosity is one of the 10 perfections that enable one to achieve enlightenment. According to Tegan Dan Layton, my Buddhist teacher in seminary, the 10 perfections are not about being correct or without error, but about completeness and wholeness. Another way of describing them is as virtues or transcendent practices that lead to a good life. The 10 perfections are, and each one could be its own sermon: generosity, ethical conduct, patience, effort, meditation, wisdom, skillful means, commitment, powers, and knowledge. They are all interrelated. Layton describes generosity as the starting and ending point for Buddhists. As one practices all the other virtues, generosity is intensified and becomes more central to our existence. Conversely, generosity not connected to the other perfections can become problematic. People in caregiving professions may be vulnerable to feelings of superiority or paternalism. Or they may burn out if their energy is depleted by others who diminish their reason for giving in the first place. This is being seen all over the teaching and healthcare professions. Likewise, those who receive charity may become dependent and debilitated if generosity smothers their sense of agency. True generosity is a subtle art requiring sensitivity, judgment, and patience. Generosity becomes whole or pure when there is no separation between the giver and the receiver in status or in motivation. In Unitarian Universalist social justice circles, we talk about the distinction between charity and empowerment. Giving to a charity is important and worthwhile, and it is usually done at a distance without really engaging the people who are being helped. Empowerment, on the other hand, is generosity that keeps on giving. It necessarily involves being in an accountable relationship that transforms both parties. 10 years ago, I accompanied the youth group at the UU Church, where I was the intern minister, on a service trip to El Salvador. The church had a long-standing relationship with a grassroots indigenous organization that emphasized education as a key to liberation and self-sufficiency. Over the years, both sides influenced, learned, taught, and transformed each other. When our group arrived in the country, we spent the first week learning about Salvadorian history and culture. We talked with people who survived atrocities during their civil war, and we learned about the United States' role in the conflict. We stayed in people's homes, not in hotels. And then we went into the countryside and we spent another week helping a village rebuild an elementary school that was destroyed during the war. And once again, we stayed in people's homes. The construction experts on the school were the villagers. And almost all of the work was done without electricity. We supplied manual labor and extra hands to facilitate the project. While we were working, playing, and resting, we did it with them. We swapped stories and we taught each other songs, dances, and customs from our respective countries. Everyone in our group had to spend time in the kitchen helping to cook for everyone else. It was an amazing, immersive experience in which the separation between the giver and the receiver totally evaporated. Us Americans, we were completely transformed at the spiritual and emotional level. The Salvadorians' hospitality was so genuine and loving. Any thoughts of superiority vanished as soon as we got to know the people with whom we were visiting. We were not there to proselytize or change their way of life. This was not charity. It was a symbiotic relationship. In some Buddhist traditions, as I mentioned to the children, the monks and the teachers take a vow of poverty. They travel from town to town with pretty much the only clothes that they wear and an alms bowl for receiving food and resources from the villagers. In return, they teach, lead meditation practices, and they perform rituals as needed. But it is not really a transactional exchange like a day laborer who gets paid for their work. It is a circle of mutuality in which everyone is giving and receiving. Monks live outside the mainstream economy and culture, and in a sense, they are beggars. But in the Asian countries where this is practiced, they are not looked down upon as bums. The monk's fundamental practice is to accept what is given, both in material sustenance and by what one is faced with in the world. It is a difficult spiritual practice of acceptance and letting go. Even after the Buddha's enlightenment and his veneration as a holy man, he lived as a simple monk, without any material advantages or privileges different from the other monks. He did his daily begging rounds, and he lived on the alms that he received. Generosity is a function of gratitude and interconnection. Gratitude and interconnection. When we receive generosity in whatever form, or when we feel a sense of wonder and awe of simply being alive, we are moved to acts of generosity, like the ones that we heard today. More important than the gift being given is the frame of mind and the intention behind the act. It really is the thought that counts. To give as the natural function of appreciating others and feeling a deep sense of interconnection is the embodiment of a renewal of spirit. When we can accept with gratitude even the difficulties that life hands us and see the gifts offered even in misfortune or grief, we can find our generous impulses released. And this can be a powerful healing and a way to deepen our connection with the world. Now, as some of you may know, I go to the Coffeewood Correctional Center near Culpeper to work with a small group of Unitarian Universalist inmates a couple of times a month. I remember one time when we were having a deep discussion about finding solace even in times of despair. I asked them how they cope being imprisoned with hardly any freedom and virtually no possessions. And several of the guys told me that they tried to find ways every day to give something to someone else. To give something to someone else. Even in their situation, they are still able to appreciate living and then to turn it into a driver for generosity. One person told me that he loves to teach reading and writing. He says he sees it as a means to open up other people's awareness and to expand their sense of wonder. Just that act of helping another person gave him hope and a sense of belonging that is otherwise hard to find in that situation. Like the Buddhists, we Unitarian Universalists see generosity as a primary spiritual practice that defines our faith in action. We emphasize empowerment for those who have been oppressed and marginalized through acts of justice that alleviate suffering. We recognize the inherent worth and dignity of all. And we see the world as an interdependent web in which our liberation is bound up in everyone else's liberation. These are the basic ingredients of generosity, with an outward focus beyond the self. It is one of our core values as a denomination. Here are the words that we recently voted on at the UUA General Assembly back in June describing generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to share our faith, presence, and resources freely and compassionately. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Now, we may not see generosity as a pathway to individual enlightenment or spiritual salvation. Instead, we work toward a beloved community in which generosity is a manifestation of love. Like Buddhists, we are grateful for life without having to codify the giver of life. Out of that gratitude, we give our gifts so that everyone benefits. True giving is done without expecting reward for oneself. Simply for the sake of giving. Just to give is the point, without assessing or knowing the results, without making strategic judgments about the effect of one's giving. True gifts do not necessarily entail possessions, as we heard. To feel wonder and awe at the beauty all around us is to receive blessings that inspire us to extend generosity to all beings. Imagine what this world would be like if we all approached the world as a circle of generosity and mutuality. This is the transformation that we must embrace to live in harmony with our true nature. Every Sunday, we talk about the generosity of spirit when the collection bowl comes up. And this is what it means to tap into our fundamental connectedness and share what we have for the benefit of all. To be like the beggar girl who gave her only possession to the Buddha. True generosity is more than an action. It is a way of being, an outlook on life, and the purest form of worship. So may we serve as beacons of generosity, as both giver and receiver. May we cultivate gratitude and hope with open hearts. And may we spread the love that unites us to heal a world of which we are all a part. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. We have a little time if anyone would like to share something about generosity that bubbled up in this last 40 minutes. Okay.
Good morning, whatever time it is. I'm Paula Barnes, she, her. And I was thinking this was appropriate as even a joy and concern, so I guess I get my shiny time right now. A lot of you do know, and a lot of you don't know, that these chairs are here for a reason. And we did a big giving campaign for these chairs in order so that we could have tile floors instead of cement floors in this new building. But what touches me especially today is this beautiful woman, Kit, is sitting in her mother's chair.
Oh, whoa. Karma. Okay.
Chris Unburn. Yeah, I'm reminded of a story in the Christian tradition where this lady gave her last few farthings, and just like the story you told at the beginning. It also reminds me of a tradition of barn raising. When somebody's barn would burn down in a community, everybody gets together and just doesn't think about it. They just build a new barn for their neighbor. So.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the way to do it without even thinking about it. Just reach into that place within us that yearns to give because we know what it's like to receive. Thank you very much.
During the offertory, you're invited to come forward and silently place a pebble into the bowl. Oh, good, into the bowl of water for any joys and concerns that you are holding in your heart. When you give to UUFF, you help us nurture learning, inspire spiritual insights, and lovingly transform our community and the world. For those gathered in person, readers will be coming around with a basket for donations. All are also invited to donate via text message to the number 844-963-2785. This number will also appear on your screen. Or you may visit our website at uuffxbg.org/giving. This week, a Share the Plate Sunday, which means 1/2 of our donations, not marked as a pledge, will be going to our recipient. Our Share the Plate recipient this week is the Rappahannock Area Community Service Board, the RACSB. is committed to continuing the tradition of serving the community by serving its most vulnerable populations. Our offertory will now be gratefully received. May all that has been shared and freely given here help us to grow in generosity and caring for the world of which we are a part.
Hi, my name is Marsha Wilson. I'm part of the pastoral care team. I have the joys and concerns today. I'm going to start with the concerns. Bill has his brother-in-law, John Harlan, has been battling cancer and now is at home with only days to live. Please hold him and his sister Citrine in your hearts. And we have one from Elaine. She has a concern that a lot of people have been participating in absentee ballots but haven't turned them in. So please, it needs to be postmarked by November 7th or drop it off at the registrar's office. Please hold all the concerns and anyone that has unspoken in your heart.
Our closing words come from Ratnagosa, a Buddhist monk. He says, "Give what you can, take what you need. What we need and what we can give is not different. As human beings, we need love. We need appreciation and we need friendship. As human beings, we have the ability to love. We have the ability to appreciate, and we have the ability to be friendly. You cannot help yourself without helping others. You cannot really help others without helping yourself."
Would you take your large hymnal and turn to 346? 346, come sing a song with me. And I invite you to stand as you're able and to join as you are able. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love, a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love, a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, I may know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. You may be seated.
Please join me in reading in unison our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of love and service. May it be a catalyst for spiritual growth and social justice as we carry it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. Go in peace, serve the world, and return again in love.